This video examines why our economy is failing the 99%. The video director and writer is Dr. Barry Clemson, a longtime activist and educator. Barry examines the deep systemic dynamics that generate our current socio-economic political mess. The course content is available as written text or as a video, and Barry is available for discussion by appointment with Zoom. So let's get started. Our economic system surrounds and controls us, so let's see if we can understand what it really does. Barry's mentor, Stafford Beard, said that to really understand a system, you have to look at what it is actually doing, not what it claims to do. Stafford put it this way: the purpose of a system is what it does. We're going to refer to that as POSIWID, P-O-S-I-W-I-D. The purpose of a system is what it does. An economist would probably say that the purpose of the economy is to meet our needs, but we seem to have a lot of unmet needs. The economy is a very big system that does many different things, and which of those are important depends on where you are sitting. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, said, "There's a class warfare, all right, but it's my class, the rich class, that's making war, and we're winning." Buffett was commenting on the absurdity of his tax rate being lower than that of his secretary and most working class people. Bezos and Zuckerberg and the other billionaires like being extremely wealthy. Their wealth also lets them largely control Congress, which means they can rewrite the rules of the game to favor themselves. They think this economy is just dandy. According to POSIWID, the purpose of the economy is to allow the 1% to change the rules of the game to favor themselves. Well, let's look at where the jobs have gone, the good jobs. First, the manufacturing jobs went to countries where wages were the lowest and the environmental regulations were essentially non-existent. Then artificial intelligence arrived. Let's see what's in store for Susie programmer and Sam truck driver and Joe plumber. Susie was a highly paid elite programmer for a high-tech company when she got a rare disease and ended up with impossible medical bills. Susie and her husband and 3 children are now homeless. Factories. A few years ago, Caterpillar Tractor built a huge plant here in USA. Several decades ago, this plant would have hired tens of thousands of workers and paid them well. However, this new plant is completely automated. Only a handful of technicians work here. The robots are even cheaper than peasants. Let's look at the drivers. Drivers and taxis are already on our highways without any humans. Amazon is beginning to make deliveries with driverless vans and drones. Warehouses are being stocked by robots. Soon, Sam Driver and all the other drivers will be unemployable. The programmers. Just a few years ago, getting a computer science degree was a guaranteed ticket to a good job. Today, AI is already writing codes for commercial applications, and more worrisome, these robots are rewriting their own codes to improve themselves. Susie programmer will soon be out of a job, and the AI experts are warning, very soon we will no longer be able to understand the AI robots. Hopefully, they will not decide that humans are problems to be eliminated. Many of us find that AI saves enormous amount of time by quickly finding the information we need. However, AI is rapidly moving to not merely assist humans, but to replace human workers entirely. AI is moving to make human workers obsolete. Construction. Joe Plumber's job seemed to be safe from being automated, except that houses are increasingly being prefabricated in factories. The assembly on site of a prefab house requires a fraction of the workers otherwise required. Joe Plumber, carpenters, electricians, etc. might soon find themselves unemployable. For all the Susie programmers and the truck drivers, Possuix means very soon becoming unemployable, replaced by robots that are even cheaper than Chinese peasants. According to Possuix, the purpose of the economy is to condemn most people to low-paying jobs or condemn them to the ranks of the unemployed or the homeless. Let's look at the sickness and death. In the late 1970s, almost 50 years ago, in one of my graduate seminars, a scientist from the Food and Drug Administration told us about the dangers of using antibiotics in animal food. She said the practice of continually dosing animals with low levels of antibiotics will invariably create superbugs that are immune to our antibiotics. Now, all these years later, we are still feeding our animals antibiotics. And we have flesh-eating bacteria that are immune to almost all antibiotics. Infections acquired while in the hospitals account for roughly 1/3 of the death in hospitals. A deadly flesh-eating bacteria that thrives in warm water was on the rise this summer across the southeastern coast of the United States. About 1 in 5 patients infected with this bacteria died. According to Possuix, the purpose of the economy is to affect many of us with superbugs. Pollution. Europe introduced a new chemical for manufacturing or retail requires that it be proven to be safe. This means extensive testing before the chemical can be used commercially. In the United States, chemicals can be used commercially unless they have been proven to be dangerous. In other words, the rules and the incentives are exactly opposite for Europe and the United States. There are roughly 800 chemicals in use in Europe. The USA has 10 times as many, such as roughly 8,000. Our Food and Drug Administration and the Environmental Protection Agency are charged with keeping us safe, but only a small fraction of these chemicals have ever been tested. And even when a drug is known to be harmful, it is difficult to get rid of it. The weed killer Roundup is known to cause cancer, and yet every hardware store has a large shelf devoted to this carcinogenic. Julian Cribb, one of our truly eminent scientists, argues that pollution is the most dangerous threat we face. While climate change is studied by literally thousands of scientists and major international bodies, hardly anyone is focused on the truly massive amount of pollution we are dumping into our air and our water and ground. And no one knows how these thousands and thousands of chemicals are interacting. What we know for sure is that this pollution is implicated in declining sperm counts, along with many other serious health effects for humans and nature alike. According to Possuix, the purpose of the economic system is to poison all life on Earth, destroy the Earth's life support system, and cause the greatest mass extinction the Earth has ever known. In conclusion, the 1% are well pleased with our economic system and will defend it to death. It apparently hasn't occurred to most of them that they cannot survive without the rest of us. The 99% are quite literally being made unemployable, being sickened and killed by the economic system. We, the 99%, have accepted the stories that support this system, such as capitalism is the best possible economic system. A single-minded focus on profit will free markets generate the greatest good for the greatest number. With hard work, you too can become a millionaire. The rich are the job generators. Economic growth is necessary and benefits everyone. Every one of these things are false. More stories supporting the exploitative economy. If you are poor, it's your own fault. Hierarchies of power are necessary for large tasks and large organizations. Government is the enemy. Consumerism, buy more stuff, buy more stuff, buy more stuff. That's the road to happiness. Each one of these is false. Upon examination, all of these stories are seen to be nonsense. Our next session will get into economic systems that provide the necessities for all rather than enriching the few. And this does not mean communism, because communism is even worse than capitalism. There's a third way, and has already started to flourish without fanfare or being noticed by most folks. So join us for the next video, You in an Economy, for the 99% coming soon. Thank you.